coolest things that I saw today was that Runecraft was the most played deck today, unsurprising. But surprisingly, Daria is the deck that people chose to bring today instead of Burn Runecraft. I don't know if that's a SEAO thing or if that's just what's going to happen.
What's been really interesting is you took a look at some of the numbers for the deck entrants for the day, and we saw that the most popular lists were Haven, Rune, and Dragon.
Absolutely.
And Haven actually didn't make it into the upper finalists. They're not on winner's side.
I want to say it has something to do with Daria decks. Maybe they weren't banning out the Daria decks and they were just getting swarmed, overrun by boards. But of course, there's many ways that the Havencraft decks couldn't have made it. But very good to know that Havencraft was highly played. Didn't place anybody into the top 8 today.
There's also the interaction to consider with Havencraft and having to deal with amulets now that it's such a big thing. Bahamut out of kind of that job, so to speak, here. Going to have to think about ways to deal with things that are strong like Kenyan or tilting at windmills. So here we go. And Disaster Gomms, I see he brought his beautiful camera and has opted to kind of jump on screen and represent, and really appreciate him for doing so. Also remember, guys, if you make it to this broadcasting portion of the tournament and you have these webcams and you share your kind of Skype ID with us and we can put you up on tournament screen, you get 1,000 extra vials.
That's right. So definitely get your face out there, get your extra vials. Awesome. So let's get into this matchup. So we've got mid-range Shadowcraft, newly adjusted Thane. We've got Daria Runecraft, now back in the meta. Let's talk about how these decks play into each other. So mid-range Shadowcraft nowadays is looking to get to the end game. It's looking to just value all the way up the chain, all the way up to 8, 9, 10 play points, and then finish off with Aisha, things like that. Daria, on the other hand, is looking to spell boost. Spell boost, of course, reducing the cost of other spell boost followers in your hand and spells that work with it. And just try to push the game on turns 5, 6, and 7 out of reach for their opponents. So I feel like Daria, if it actually gets that tempo-oriented gameplay early, can just kind of blow Shadow out of the water these days.
Oh, man, and we see the heart of Shadowcraft is the Andrialphus into the Skull Ring to kind of make sure that it stays around for a longer while. And not necessarily a lot of early pressure, but he's got bodies on board.
That's right. And one thing that we actually talked about last week is I think that the trend is going to keep happening, that we have not missed on cast a Shadowcraft player with Skull Ring on 3.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I certainly feel like that was the story all of last week.
Well, like before, Shadowcraft was running like anywhere from 4 to 6 3-drops. Now they're going all the way down to maybe just 3 Skull Rings. Some are choosing to include some Gourmet and Perkizes as like 1 or 2 of, but they always have that 3-drop anyway. So it feels like they haven't even skipped a beat.
Yeah. Well, certainly, especially if you're mulliganing for it. 3-drops are not too difficult to come by. But we see a scenario now where board is filled and one more turn until the last word effect pops. So essentially what that means is even if you take down the Andrialphus this turn, it's going to come back for an evolution turn.
That's right.
When it passes back to Gomms.
No way around it, unfortunately. And if he doesn't do anything to clear the board, I don't think it really matters for that Skull Ring not to pop anything. So I think he's just going to go in here right now. Probably take out the Andrialphus.
Yes. I feel like
actually, no. That's right, because it will come back and he gains an extra card off of that. Yeah, not the best thing to do. Never mind.
So what's kind of interesting here is I think Dreamlife has had fairly good spell boosting up until this point, but just lacking the Daria itself. Now, he does have a Chimera in hand, and that can be a good tempo swing kind of early on. But actually, I think Chimera is interesting. If you play it at a low enough cost, it's obviously going to be very worth it for you. But a lot of the times, I feel like in this scenario, it's very overkill for what it does, right? There's not a lot of followers that you really can get the max value out of 4 on choice.
Well, what I think it is, it's like an old fallback plan. So if you guys remember how the Dimension Shift of last season worked, it was a lot of times, even if it didn't get Dimension Shift off, it could win off of the back of a fully loaded Golem Assault into Chimeras on a similar turn. So basically it's a different type of tempo push, and I think the new Daria decks have adopted that so that they have other options in the late game to just win without having the actual Daria combo.
We'll see if that comes into play here. Ooh, that's a pity with the Ogler there. Not quite enough attack to go through an evolved Kai'Sa.
And it's very interesting to notice that Gomms is trading here against Daria, still respecting the damage that Daria can deal and not letting it get in.
Yeah. who knows? Because on the next turn, Dreamlife could have been pumping a Daria and then had a huge burst play come through. I mean, with the Enchanted Blades that you talked about too, and the possibility of hitting Blade Mages, you don't know what you're dealing with, really.
Right. That's the big, and I think that's one of the big benefits to playing Daria in a competitive scene. They never know when your Daria is going to go off. They don't even know if it's in your hand. They really don't know what to expect on any given turn. So Gomms is respecting it like we just talked about in the fact that, you know what, I don't know what it's going to be able to do against me. So I just need to keep the board clean, keep playing my Shadowcraft game, and hope they don't get there.
Yeah. Also interesting that the Andrialphus in the end never was evolved, and now there's only a few followers, just two to name the two of them, left in the hand of Gomms, and he's only got 4 cards.
That's right, but Andrialphus being left in play, no evolution orb used by Dreamlife there. Very interesting.
We'll see. I definitely feel like you need to think about getting yourself more options at this point in the game, but it's kind of a really clunky play to have to evolve the Andrialphus that's already in play, not have enough damage to take down any of the 2 cards on the other side.
Right, and I think that's what Dreamlife was thinking. If he does evolve Andrialphus, great, because it's not going to be able to punch me in the face very hard. Plus, how is he going to deal with my 4/4?
And it's even more tragic because the Andrialphus still isn't drawing you a card.
Right.
Just some of the most awkward, I feel like.
Yeah, very awkward. Now, in saying that, Gomms has played this game in such a fashion, even with a low hand size, now pumped by Andrialphus as far as card draw is concerned. We look at Dreamlife's hand, and it is not going the way I believe he wants it to go. He's got Chain Lightning, which can be reused over multiple turns. However, dealing with full boards, you can't really afford to stop and just burn your opponent for 3 and get value out of that card. So if Dreamlife doesn't draw something here where he can take over board again, okay.
Okay.
Scary option, but he can do it.
3 spells and 2 of them are at risk of just being removed here.
It's definitely one of the cards you do want to see.
I mean, maybe it's a turn where you just try to... but there's not really a good play. It's basically only 1 spell at the most.
Maybe it's just Chain Lightning into the carrot and then Evo face?
That might be a play. We talk a lot about Mutagenic Bolt as an option, right? When you're behind, it never feels good to utilize because your opponent has the opportunity to piggyback off of that damage very, very easily.
The one upside, though, is I believe what Dreamlife is thinking, I don't really have time to deal that much damage to my opponent. He's still at 19.
Wait, I think he just lethal himself with Ektar, right? 1, 2, 3, plus 6, 9. Oh, but there's no evolve.
There's no evolve. Right, so just 9 after this. So yeah, I think he did the math. No lethal with Ektar the following turn. This is the most damage I'm going to be able to do, and I've got a 6/6 in play. How is he going to deal with this? He's got no evolution orbs left. So
he's going to have to throw his Ektars in. Man, and there's no good opportunity right now to play the Saras as well.
That's right. This is a very important matchup, and Dreamlife showing using those evolution orbs a little bit more scarcely. It's kind of gaining an edge here. Off of a really bad hand, I feel like.
Yeah. It's going to... Oh, man. And still gets the damage. So there's 2 damage. That means that Dreamlife, on his turn, only needs to reach 7. What are the options that he could pull off the odds? Oh, he's going for it. He just went for it. Let's see. Oh! Is that enough? No, it doesn't. Quite. It's not Darius, so it doesn't spell boost the Blade Mage. So he's got 2 from the Piercing Rune, plus the 3, that's 5.
So close. 2 damage off with that hand because of the Mutagenic Bolt play. So now he's going to have to play defensively. He does have the options. He has the Evolution Orbs.
Gosh.
He has a ward he can play this turn. It really just depends on what he wants to do with his play points here.
My gosh. Okay, he's looking to really mitigate damage. I think this Evolution Orb as well is going to be very, very important.
Oh, I think he's going to take the gamble. I like this play a lot. Because realistically, how does Gomms push 4 damage next turn?
And he's got the Blade Mage. Not a spell. Did not get spell boosted, but because it's not a spell, you don't lose that option. But he's 1 damage off. Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Great
Talk about
draw.
1 damage off.
Not lethal, but great draw. I was going to say, how is he going to deal with this Wizard's Vase? He's got no shadows left, right? But now, drawing the Ektar, he does have an option to push into that Wizard's Vase.
He can't gain enough shadows to get the Soul Squasher effect I would imagine that Sarah's is by far, if he can get away with it, the best choice here, but he can't quite make that happen.
Right. Got to take care of the Oz here or else you just lose on board. So Ektar has to be the play, probably with the Goblin. That way you can push the Goblin in and deal your 3, but leaving that Flame Rat in play is so dangerous. That just means a Piercing Rune or any other 2 damage spell.
Yeah, he needs to be very aware right now. You do actually need to run your Flame Rat in.
Okay.
Okay, wow.
Okay.
Gomms is making the right choices right now.
That's right. And now with the 2 spells gone out of Dreamlife's hand, of course, Wizard of Savaz dying doing that effect there.
Does he have a single point? Oh!
That's
he doesn't have the play points to do it. I think it's over.
I think that's it.
He can't play both the Blade Mage and the Chimera.
Yeah. Nothing to be done. That game was so close. Mutagenic Bolt, even from behind, was almost enough to take Gomms out within 1 defense of winning that game.
What an awkward spot, too, drawing the Oz at that moment with those spells in hand. You couldn't make a very efficient play without taking a risk, and Dreamlife just decided to take that risk and ended up not paying out.
What a good game. What a good first game. Really showing that even without a Daria hand, you can still get
and certainly that Daria hand, I mean, judging by the way that the Oz drew, that would have been very powerful.
Absolutely. You know? That's, like you said, it's a little clunky. When you're playing a bunch of followers alongside of spells that spell boost, it's a lot harder to utilize the Wizard of Savaz in this deck. However, it's just a 1-of, I believe, in his deck, so it's just an option.
Yeah.
And without it, I don't even think he would have had a chance that game, so I think very good option to have.
Yeah. And, I mean, you know, drawing the Oz off the top, too, it's not like you could have played the Daria if you drew it off the top.
Right.
So...
that would be insane. If you could Wizard of Savaz into Daria, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that would be.
And now we get to see the mirror. This is the most exciting thing for me basically all day.
Well,
we're going to see a lot of Daria mirrors
he dodged
today.
the mirror.
Oh.
Dreamlife opted to bring blood instead.
Tricking me.
But you talked about neutral blood a lot last week.
Yes.
And you were very fond of the deck in terms of it being a unique deck in the current meta.
I think it's great. So it's a deck that is able to push damage consistently across the board without evolution orbs, without anything fancy, you know what I mean? The cards just deal damage. Plus it has a way to fill up a board like Daria does with Actress Faria. You can actually just build up a big neutral board, really hard to deal with. I think it's a great deck right now,
What are the
especially with
chances
everything
that
else
Gomms
hitting.
draws a third Daria here?
They hate each other. Well, okay, so let's talk about that. No magic ring inclusions in these Daria decks, not even as a 1-of. We've seen it as an option in some of the Forestcraft decks that we've seen to put back, you know, King Elephants before it gets to the end game, so you can pull it with White Wolf. We don't see him in any of the Daria decks. It's 1 cost spell boost card. It can get rid of this nasty situation that you see Gomms in right now, but we don't really see it included in these decks.
Nasty situation in more ways than just one, because Dreamlife, in classic Bloodcraft fashion, is bringing it back. This is looking very nostalgic right now.
Curve Blood.
Turn 3, and you're down to 14.
Yeah.
And you have nothing on board. You don't even have Evolution Orbs to contest this.
And look at the hand that Dreamlife has. I mean, Usher... I mean, not Usher, I'm sorry. But Impartial Strix coming down next turn as a 5/5 on curve. Ridiculous, and oh my goodness.
He's got more storm, too.
Okay.
Yep, he's buffing up so he can push past. Oh my god.
This is insane.
Oh my god!
If you thought Neutral Blood was out of the meta, guys, look at this game.
Yeah. He's got 2 cards left in hand, and both of them are looking pretty good for the scenario. And what healing do you have on a Daria deck, right?
Right.
You don't even have Carl.
Yeah, no Carl. Unfortunately, Cygames has not listened to my petition of giving Spell Boost a healing card, essentially. Like, I don't even care if it costs 8 or 9. Heal 4, something like that. Spell Boost, give it to me.
Yeah. A relatively fast boosting game for Gomms as well, but just... Oh, the storm has come, and Gomms could not weather.
Every play point utilized perfectly by Dreamlife this game to deal more damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Evolve.
Spread the stats.
And he's just going to push through. Yep.
And even if this game goes late, how is Gomms going to get Dreamlife in with, like, basically outside of Vengeance so that Dark General never comes down? Because that's already a win condition in hand. And honestly, Dreamlife can just wait this game and just play Dark General and win with it. I don't really see an out for Gomms here.
So the Chimera can get rid of the 3/3. His Clark can get rid of the 2/2. And he needs to play Daria here and hope he hits maybe a second Blade Mage. It's going to increase his opportunity to... Okay. Ooh, the Wind Blast, but doesn't have enough play points for it.
Technically, we'll have access to a ward next turn if he so chooses. But again, I think this is just a losing battle. Is Gomms going to play around Vengeance for a the turn that he has to, so that Dark General cannot take him out? Is the real question.
Oh, the happy pig.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's no lethal here. There's no way to push over.
Nope. They have Elysia in hand is nice though. That's 1 extra damage through. But yeah, it's really about Gomms here. If Gomms can play the next 2 turns perfectly, not push Dreamlife into Vengeance, and basically set up a lethal turn the following turn, he can win this game. So I said there was no chance, but if he knows, there is a chance.
It's... Okay.
This is so scary.
I almost feel like this Goblin, given your current hand and scenario, should probably just go for the trade. You know, 2 damage is not hard to come by.
Right.
Buy yourself some more time.
However, it really depends, because if he does destroy the 6/1 here, Gomms has a perfect 9 damage to face to set him outside of Vengeance. So this is really scary, but if you leave everything, we're talking about 15 damage in play right now. This is like suicide for both players right now. This is
what
crazy.
Are the chances, too, you bumped into a second Daria and boosted that up? It's that ambiguity we were talking about earlier. Do you know what you're playing against?
This is so tough, and Dreamlife feels it. He knows it. He feels the same thing that we do. Just like, what do I do here? Oh.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, well, we can see that there's not 5 damage from hand from Gomms here, so does he...
10, 15, 17, 19.
So close.
He had 19 damage with the Piercing Rune.
So close. I'm like waiting with bated breath here just to see what he does. This is going to be crazy.
I
if
don't
he
think
puts a
there's
ward
any
up,
other option. I think you need to ward up.
You need to ward up. You need to keep Dreamlife out of Vengeance. If you can do both of those things, I feel like you can win.
That's value right there.
Okay, making all the right moves. Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wait, but this is a ward. Okay,
yes,
so that still works.
It is a ward, yep.
Perfect.
So he's got 11, so just... Oh!
Okay, this is down to a top deck from Dreamlife here.
Oh!
The attack with Goblin won him the game.
Evelysia, how
so good.
We have never seen Evelysia actually end the game, let alone really be played.
I'm so happy for it. So I play Evelysia, and my friends always ask me, why do you play Evelysia in your Burn Runecraft deck? For just this purpose. It gives you an extra 2 drops to the deck, and it just gets that damage in.
Oh my god.
When you're scraping by with Wise Merman, you know what I mean, and Goblins, sometimes you just need that little bit extra, and that's exactly what Dreamlife drew. These games are awesome. And now we get this mirror match that I've been hoping for.
It was a perfect choice to go for the 1 face damage rather than trade.
New as outs.
Wow. Okay, so this is the mirror match that you were eager to see.
Yes.
My goodness.
And all of the Daria draws so far, I'm sure it's not the way it has been leading up to the top 8. They had to have gotten really good Daria draws earlier. Gomms got a decent one last game, but Daria versus Daria, no Daria's in hand at the moment.
Yeah. Well, that's when you pull it up right now.
All right, I'll do it for
right.
Gomms. Right now.
Okay.
No, we're terrible.
Right.
We need to stop doing this because real curse.
That
curse
really
is real.
hurt my soul there.
So now we're just going to see really tight gameplay from both players. They have to curve respectively. They can't do anything crazy with their hands, so it's just who can basically eke more value out of their hand than the other person.
I mean, early on, Dreamlife is going to actually have a pretty quick Ogler coming out on curve, too. Or rather, on the play.
Oh.
I wonder if that's going to be impactful, though. Ideally, he would have played the Ogler this turn somehow.
Yeah, ideally. So it looks like he probably was trying to think like, you know what, maybe the Chimera is going to be a lot more important in the mid game because I don't have Daria. I need a way to come back from a big Daria board.
Yeah.
So I can respect the decision.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot last week about Mysterian Knowledge too. Mysterian Knowledge alongside Golem Assault, just so crazy for Runecraft now. Like instead of just drawing cards. Now you have ways to actually just play more spells with the cards you have in your hand.
I think that consistency is part of the reason why Daria has become so much stronger, right? Because the one card can kind of push you, get you that extra mileage that you would need to actually just rely on drawing into before.
And both sides of Mysterian Knowledge are really good. Setting up your golems, especially if you're playing summon golems, like all of those things, you know what I mean? Like you can get multiple wards in a single turn. You can get a 3 damage and 1 to face spell. Very good stuff.
All right. Gomms on the first evolution turn and has the owl, but not much to boost right now, actually.
Okay, taking out the owl there. Very nice evolve. And still,
man.
Darius.
It's so...
I think it's just going to come down to, and I think this is why Chimera is in the deck, right? Sometimes you just need to make tempo plays like I was talking about, and Chimera is one of the best tempo plays you can make.
Yep. Now down to 5 costs, but another awkward turn for a Daria player, right? Because the boost doesn't quite line up, the spell cost doesn't quite line up, the odds is in hand, but still a little bit too early. And there's the first Daria that we see. Now, much like in Dimension Shift decks, actually, the later you draw Daria, the quicker you can actually play it.
That's right.
It's surprisingly quick.
It's surprisingly quick, especially with Magic Owl introduced to the mix. Magic Owl just helps all of the spell boost decks so much. I think it's a perfect replacement for Time Worn Mage Levi, the old 2-drop, you know, the Terror. I think this is actually quite a bit better in all the spell boost decks now just because of the cost. It gets +2/+2 still, and it reduces everything that has spell boost in your hand by 2 all at once. It's great.
The Enchanted Blade leaves the Magic Owl with a 6/1 stat line, which definitely needs to be answered.
And that's a really nice card to have in the wings for Dreamlife. He's already ahead in damage here. All he needs to do is stabilize. He's got the Wizardess of Oz again in hand for a really nice tempo push.
This is going to be a very good answer to whatever board flood comes on the side of Gomms here, even when he plays this Daria out.
Yeah, these are tight turns. Gomms really in the tank here about what to do. Do I draw cards? Do I play wards? What do I do?
Okay. So he can't play the Daria, left with 1 play point. That's important because it really decides how far he can reach on this turn. He gets the Ogler and the Blade Mage. But
Great
again,
draw.
this might actually just be playing into Dreamlife's hands. So he's got 4 on board here. Okay, good. And removing the Chimera means that the backswing won't be nearly as dangerous.
Right. So playing very tempered here. But like you said, Mutagenic Bolt off of this Wizardess of Oz. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, the second one, not so good.
Yeah, and especially given the fact that Gomms did not actually hit a second Daria, meaning there isn't too much of a need for that second Mutagenic Bolt. You would have much rather seen something that can help you control this board or get rid of Flame Rats. But still ahead in health points. Again, you have to remember, you pass a turn, the Flame Rats do their ping, and then the Flame Rats can swing in again.
That's right. So Dreamlife is going to have to put himself in a precarious situation once again because he actually doesn't have a way to clear off the Flame Rats once he introduces them to the board. However, if he can top deck well enough...
Wow, he doesn't even play the odds. He just says, I guess he values the second Mutagenic Bolt there. And I guess the other thing is, what could he play at 1 play point?
Well, the other consideration is not giving Gomms a way to actually get these Flame Rats off the table.
Yes.
And these Piercing Runes have no targets either, so
the question
Dreamlife
is,
can just win off of this.
The Flame Rats can't be taken off the table, but you can already see that the Flame Rats have caught up in damage.
Yes. And here it is. I think this is just do or die turn for Dreamlife's got to draw something.
You got to play your odds, I suppose.
You have to go for it.
But even if you do the Piercing Rune, only puts him down to 6.
If you do double Piercing Rune, though, or something of that fashion, maybe even the one of Chain Lightning that he's running, you know what I mean? There are options in there.
You only have 2 draws.
I know. I know, but I think you've got to do it. I think you've got to run it. You got to roll those dice. It has to be the perfect 2 draws.
Now, knowing what Gomms has in hand, right, he has 4 damage in the wings, so you have to take down at least 2 of the rats.
Yeah.
And the Chimera.
Yeah. And with the hand that Dreamlife has, that is not an option at the moment.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Technically, with the Mutagenic Bolt, he only really needs to find 3 damage. So you can play the Wizards of Oz, play the Mutagenic Bolt, play a 3 damage spell, win the game off of the back of the Flame Rats. So even just one will do it, as long as it's a chain link.
Oh!
What? Wow!
What?
Wow!
What? What?
Unbelievable.
This is Southeast Asia is not in the best mood today. I cannot. This is just our first match.
This is crazy. And Gomms getting knocked down to the losers bracket immediately, not expected. Dream life. How amazing.
Life.
How amazing.
What a way to play to your options in both games with his neutral blood as well as with his Daria. That's crazy.
He just took the right lines for what he thought his deck could do. He gave himself the one Wizardess, the one Chain Lightning in his deck just to have these options, drawing them at the right time.
So, you know what? Let's